So, I've got a couple things to go over today. And today is my paperwork day. So I have been doing all kinds of paperwork. And Lori gave me a really great piece of advice recently, Lori being my wife, about trying to, instead of just trying to fit all these things into a day, start to break your day up or start to break your week up into days where you're going to try this or days you're going to try that. And that comes from Alison Graham, who's a really great person who works with others and sort of helps them in techniques and managerial ideas and things like that. And so look up Alison Graham. She's fantastic, and she's done wonders for my wife, and apparently now she's helping me. So, yeah. So we've got a whole bunch of new pages that I've posted today, and in those posted pages, I've added some bonuses, and those bonuses are. Just trying to check something here, make sure my mic's working fine. Okay, it is. All right. Because the mic was not registering very much on the screen. So I just want to make sure that everything was okay. Oh, right. So, yeah, I've got 4 pages that were posted today, 4 little images. I'm having a hard time calling everything pages. But, hi, Chris. Chris, you put a comment on my, I think it was on Instagram, about the bus situation and how it affects people in Mexico. And it's so very massively different from the over accommodation of bus services and train services and stuff that we see up here in America and Canada. And yet people whine so much about it. The bus service in London isn't as good as, Toronto. And then people in Toronto, of course, the bus service in, Toronto. I have to tell you, we're fortunate to even have them and have them relatively come at certain times. So thank you for putting that perspective out there. It's really brilliant, and it helped me out as well. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, look at my post today on Instagram and see Chris's comment. It's absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for that. Okay, let me get my big noggin out of the road. And these are the 4 things that I posted today. And the images that we did yesterday. So we've got our Enjoy the Scenic. I beefed up the letters in this, and I put the dialogue that we talked about on the page. Grab that empty chair. We don't need another chair. So this was fun. I didn't realize something, that when we did this mixed media application on an image that had a magazine picture collaged on, or a surface that had a magazine picture collaged on it, that there was a window there. And I don't know that it was a conscious act, I'm going to be honest, to put the figures of the couple out of the sketchbook in front of this window. So here they are taking the scenic view of sitting on a beach and looking out at the sky and the water. But at the same time, they're looking out this magical window. So that was a happy accident. I could pretend and try to take credit that, yeah, that's what I was thinking of, but no, it's not. So yeah, that came up pretty keen. So the scenic message applies to not just the view of the beach and the relaxation and all that, but the scene of the window. So that's kind of fun. And then this one is where all I really did was clean up the white area on this picture and just throw some words over top. But this is a lot of fun because you can see more clearly now the seam. There's a line that cuts across here, and I love it. I love things like this because it makes a person go, or there's a piece of tape that's right here, and it makes other people look at it and go, what is that? And sometimes that's what we like. The second one can be solo weekend at Bernie's. There we go. Thanks so much. I'm sorry, I missed something before that from Chris. The paint effect also gives an illusion of a ghost in the empty chair, apart from the eerie window. Ooh, there we go. So yeah, so the weekend at Bernie's. There you go. Um, and then the third and fourth images that I put out today is Dawn. So these are also the same size, these images, and it is literally me scraping paint across paper to figure out I'll do something with this later, and then realizing I'm having fun with making this, because I'm seeing landscapes in this, and so as I showed Lori, and so I put a little line across the horizon here, tighten up some more white into this area that had yellow on it, and I showed it to Lori, and she's like, "That's done." And then I showed her this one, which again, horizon line put in there. It's a brush of some watercolor over that, and then lots of white put into the sky. And she goes, "That's dusk." So there we go. Happy accidents. Um, that's the whole thing about any creativity, any different ways that we try to interpret, the beautiful, creation of the world around us. It's this Mountain Dew. Um, I'm just going to be in my head all day. Um, the fun and joy of trying to visually represent anything that we see in this world is that at best it is symbolic in the fact that it's our interpretation of things. Even the people that try to do their ding dang darndest to do photo representational work to look like it's the actual person, place, thing, you know, um, with absolute clarity to them, and even a sense of dimension, it's still a representation of. And you know, it's that little thing where we're just trying to do something so that we can emulate the actuality of what we're seeing or what we're imagining. But there's still the fact that the viewer, the reader, whatever you want to call them, has to make that association, has to be able to connect to that. So when I, scrape paint on a thing and go, "Hey, that's kind of neat," and then my wife can look at it and go, "Don," great, that's great. So I really appreciate that, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to make images that somebody else might look at and say, "Hey, that reminds me, I gotta make an appointment with my dentist," or whatever, my association they might make from an image. Okay, so by that, and I wanted to talk about I'm going to throw the overhead on. White piece of paper. So the normal thing that I've been doing, and today's the day, today's the paperwork day where I'm doing all of the paperwork rigmarole to put out number 3 of these. And this is the one-page stories where people make a suggestion. I think Chris, who's here in the chat, made this suggestion. Jockey and a horse, action to the left, head light brown, jockey leaning on the neck. So people make a suggestion, and then I make a story from that suggestion. And so that's what the one-page books are, and I do it in a number of different mediums. That's pencil crayon, paint. That's just a pencil colored digitally. Mixed media here, mixed media there. Doodah. So that's what these one-page stories are. And this is the thing that I've done. I don't know the number again. It's well over 1,000 at this point since 2023. But the other thing that I'll do is this. And in this context, this is the alphabet book. And in this context, this is every page in here is a letter of the alphabet, except for the missing X factor, which is a digital page I sent to people that picked up the book. And still will. If you pick up a copy of Alphabet Book, let me know. I'll send you the digital of X. So these are, again, mixed media things, but they're more like what I'm doing now. Oh, yeah, there you go. And book 2, the one with Corbin and Nico conquering the world. Oh, yeah, that's great. That was a great suggestion. I'm going to see if I can find it quick. Hold on. My brain cannot keep track. I'm sorry, I don't remember what order things are. So the paper shaking that you're hearing going on is me trying to quickly scan through this book and find the cats conquering the world. There they are. You have to keep an eye on them. It's the cute ones you have to watch out for. Anyhow, so yeah, that's another great one. Thanks, Chris. So the thing with Alphabet Book is that these are less like the one-page sequential, and this is more like story being told in a contained image with textual elements added or not. And in this case, airplane very clearly has a lot of text to it. This is tissue paper through here, and yeah, pencil on top with paint, I believe. Acrylic paint. This is a ballpoint pen drawing with a bit of Sharpie and a white pen down here in the sky. But this is, and then the white you can see throughout here, drawn on cardstock with blue masking tape on it. So, all of these images follow suit with what I'm doing with these postcards. It's different applications. That's electrical tape. This is actually onion bag. So when you get onions in a bag and they give you this sort of this honeycomb hive type pattern that comes with them after you've eaten all your onions up, yum yum. Save the bags, and you can cut those up into fabric little sections. Let me see if I got one nearby. And then that's what this is that's in this original picture. So you can affix that to the surface and then have an interesting pattern in your story. And in this case, it's the butterflies attacking humans. And so it's just about trying different things out. Here's again some of that scratchy paint business on the surface, just because it's an interesting effect. That's just straight graphite on a really nice textured paper. And so trying these different things lets us have that's pastel, all kinds of different applications to story. So that's sort of what we're doing here. Well, it is basically what we're doing here is with the sketchbook ideas. Now, we're gathering a little pile, but I realized something yesterday, and that is that we're doing it in two different ways. So here's the first four that we did is this kind of free jam, a little more urban in their applications, or a little more, I don't know how to explain it. There's people in all these, whereas the second set that we've just done are scenes. It's just kind of interesting how that all comes about, So, yeah, it's just funny. Just funny that. And the other thing, of course, that we have nearby on standby, we've got all kinds of other surfaces for us to work on. So, and to tell some, make some compositions on, or try to tell some stories with things. Even if it's just a conversation of Harriet and Orville talking about stealing a chair on the beach, that's a story, right? And it doesn't always have to be this grand narrative. It can at times just be a moment. So, yeah. So while I've got a bunch of little scribbly doodles that are on other postcard things that I'll finish up and throw with that other group, I thought we'd keep on this track of what we're doing right now. Now, I put forward the idea yesterday that in this sketchbook, maybe what would be of benefit is to take this page, the green page of forest images and the like, and to utilize this and to do some compositions much like we did yesterday. That's an idea that we can approach. So if you're keen like a jelly bean on that, let me know. And of course, the other notion is taking all these disparate elements that are on different pages and trying to identifiably put together a composition this way, which is similar to what those first four were. And yeah, and I mean, even within this, if you down here at the bottom of this page, here's these two astronauts standing in front of some kind of space environment, which is serviceable to say that that could be more akin to that in the first place. The trying to figure out how to incorporate these linear drawings into mixed media elements or painted elements. So if anybody has one way or the other that they would prefer to go, we can do that. So just well, look at this here. This extends our thought that we're talking about today. It wasn't an apple. Yeah, even when we draw or paint apples, those aren't apples. Those are drawings or paintings of apples, or our best interpretation thereof. I've also got, in addition to those mixed media surfaces, I do have a bunch of black and white, and this is a what do you call this? This is when you're framing an image, and for exposition in a gallery, a mat board. This is a mat board. Yeah. So, hey, Seven, how you doing? So yeah, so I've got this stuff to work on too, and I mean, we could do something where I'm drawing with straight with an ink brush if we want, or whatever else. I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. Who said that? Okay, so if there's any way, one shape or the other, let me know. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna get crack-a-lacking. So let's see, what do we got? Okay, so here's a piece of green cardstock. So there's a base green value to whatever we do on this, right? So if we look at this, and we've got, so this is tape on it. There's some spattered paint or ink, I'm not sure which, from something else along the side. Perfect. Just the kind of perfect chaos for us to use. So when you're working on a darker surface, now I'm going to test something out and see if this will, you're going to show up. I don't know if that's visible or not. Let me try another one. We're going to try a couple things to see what appears on camera. Is that any better? Now? All right. Well, we'll come at it in a different way then. Okay, so with this, if we're going to, I'll just go back to this first, and if somebody has an idea from another page, let me know. So going back to these notes. So this is drawing random photographs and random images that I come across, like here's creepy graveyard, and here's mausoleum buildings, and here's an interesting octagonal house, and log cabin with the front step up to it. Oops, our camera's a little low. Let me see if I can shift that up a little bit. Is that better? Well, that didn't help at all, did it? Give me a sec. I think that'll do it. There we are. So here's a log cabin to walk up towards, a tree, giant broken stone head. There's a tree with a large mass tree in front of it, some rocks on a beach, it looks like. So with all of these sketches, ideally, when you're doing these from whatever source the image is that you're looking at, there's an aspect of it that stays, that retains in your mind, so that even when you're looking at your own drawings, your sketches, that may be just in line art, hopefully what that's going to let you do is retain what the initial intention here was in the first place. So let's take this element, okay? And if I reproduce this nice and loose and slappy on this cardstock, and again, we're not worried about surface, right? Surface is just to add extra interesting things, right? So as we're trying to interpret this wonderful part of creation, these trees and this scene, whether real or imagined, what I'm going to do is do my best to sort of emulate the sketch that I've already put together, because the work's done. Hi, Liz. Oh, Liz, I'm going to call you later. We'll figure that out. So, our shipping department has a request. So, I'm trying to put this drawing in. I'm seeing these shapes. I'm not worried about reproducing exact lines. I'm just trying to rediscover some of these shapes. And if it's not perfect, who cares? It's a sketch. So, and of course, it's not complete for the entirety of the space, right? Let me see if I can pull in a little bit tighter. Can you let me do that? What do you think of that idea, robot? No? Hey, look at us. People are going to think I know what I'm doing. So we're just trying to do our best to get some of these interesting shapes and interesting elements of the composition together. And yeah, I'm reproducing this largely almost like line art again, but we're going to take that and run with it in a second. We're going to run fast. I like to work quick. And the reason that I like to work quick is that I don't belabor the situation with, well, what if I try this approach? What if I just allow yourself to just fall into the thinking that you've already done, whether it's in your sketchbook or whatever, or allow yourself to fall into that space where you're just going to trust your instincts. You're going to trust your guts. And, I feel like this, and we'll try this, and we'll try that. Because who knows what's going to come from that, right? So I'm going to do some kind of redonkulous things today. And we'll see what comes of it. But right now I'm just roughly scribbling in our composition here. And let's put some leaves and whatnot on this tree. So this cardstock that I'm working on, I mean, it takes the pen, it does marks on it, and it lets. Liz is asking Abba, what does YHWH? It's Yahweh. It's Yahweh. It's a name for God. 7 has a declaration of his belief there in his name. But yeah, Yahweh. So here's Abba. Actually, also it means is another name for God as well, and just for interest sake, there, folks, it means Father. It's like a creatorly title. So here's our tree coming together now, and now here's the trick: is that some of this next compositional element is sort of in there too, and I that's fun. I like that. All right, so we've got that. We've cut that out now. Cut that out, and I'm going to come in with this white acrylic marker. Maybe I'll do ink. Nah, we'll do this. Yeah, let's do ink. I'm as changeable as the season someday, folks. So this is white ink that I'm going to throw all around here. And you're covering the tree it just drew. Yeah. But it's peeking through, and we're going to emboss it just a little bit more after. But for the time being, all right, we're just going to get some of this ink done. Some of the fun things about putting masking tape down on my surfaces that I've always enjoyed is that, do you see as I go over with the brush on the masking tape area, the ink destabilizes a little bit, and you get the kind of fun textural stuff happening? I like that a lot. So I'm being sloppy and hurried as I'm doing this because we're just going for getting some of this down. And then we're going to start picking and choosing some shapes and things out of it. But for the time being, let's just get down there. All right, there's our start. Am I missing stuff? Well done on the finishing yesterday. Drawings, love them. Oh, there you go, Freddie. Tetragrammaton. Good for you. Right on. So now I'm going to come in with this paint marker and start picking into these elements here and making a little more clarity in separating parts of our composition. But still, we will come through and beef up the tree itself. But half the time I like drawing space around things as much as I like drawing said things. It's just, exploration, right? Try and find different ways of trying to appreciate and express all these wonderful things that we get to see and be surrounded by. Trees are fun. Chairs are fun. We had fun doing chairs yesterday. Beach. Beat 2 different kinds of beaches. So, not being overly precious, we're just chopping in shapes. I had a funny conversation with a friend last night. Don't do time lapses, he told me, and because I had planned a bunch of time lapse things to release here, and I saw multi-layer painting using magazines in the areas we're torn away, showing the layers, cool colors, and design. Speaking. Oh, that's cool. Hey, it's Frieden. I didn't realize that was you, Frieden. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Frieden's a good friend. So don't do time lapses because you draw too fast. That's what I was told yesterday. Maybe. I don't know. I still think there's validity to it. So I'm making up some shapes over here as well as we go across because our initial composition line went so far. So there we go. And don't. That's not perfectly blended. Yeah. So here we go with adding in some more sky around our central focus, which is this tree. Now, when you're going over surfaces like the tape, you're going to see different wonderful little textures and different bleed throughs of the color of the tape as well. And that is just, I call it, I've been trying to come up with a term for it, and the closest I can come up with is interesting complexity. That is interesting complexity. Sounds good, huh? So we're going to cut in with this white in between the gaps in our shapes in the foreground here. Same as we did above. And then I'm going to grab that pen and start just chopping in some marks over here as well. We're going to extend out our composition a little bit. Again, nothing needs to be overly specific because we're going to find that as we go. But at this point in time, this is pretty quick and dirty, right? And that's okay. The choppy dirtiness of it is good. Christopher, super smart viewers. I think so. I think I do. I really appreciate everybody that comes and hangs out. You guys, there's so much insight and thought and all of our different perspectives that we have in, understanding, like what Chris was telling about, the randomness of the bus systems, where Chris lives in Mexico, and that's wonderful. I mean, that's the sort of thing, the beautiful insights that we get from one another. It's not everything's the same, and not everything's the same around the world, and if we can find ways to discover and expand our insight and our understanding of things, that's great. I love that. Absolutely love that. So let's go in with. I'm going to grab a pencil here, and I'm just going to throw a whole bunch of cream color over the whole lower section of this. Before anybody tells me off for drawing on top of my sketchbook, that's what I do. I'm not concerned about preciousness of images in the book. Sketchbooks, in my idea, are meant to be serviceable for purpose. So, okay, now I've got well, here's a Prismacolor color erase, but we're going to use it in this way anyways. So now I'm going to start throwing in some colors and little punches in throughout this section here. So we're going to turn the foreground into rocks and earth. If there's another image off this page that people would see me do next, let me know, because we're working on the fly, folks. I don't pre-plan stuff, and the reason that I don't pre-plan stuff is because part of the joy for me in my processes is the moment, and that moment is important not to bottle down to me. So if everything's all pre-developed, what am I going to do? How's everybody's batteries today? Fully charged? Train sputtering? Oh, 7 says the same about the sketchbook illustrations. There we go. Yeah, I think people figure out really quickly that, I got a different perspective on some stuff about, preciousness. I mean, that's how this happens, where I'm drawing over top of everything else. Okay, so here, I'm going to throw some more. Now I've got this brown paint marker. Now, ideally, as I'm doing this, maybe you're going to start to see where it's going. Maybe you're going to start to see, we're going over some of those dark areas already established with our pen marks. Maybe you're going to start to see where the idea of this drawing is going to go. This guy's going to give up the ghost on me. Come on, just a little more, buddy. Yeah, this one's holding on. It's holding on. I have another one. Maybe not. That's all right. That's all right. We'll see what more we can get out of him, and then we will have a salute for him as he goes off into the merry world of marker heaven. So, okay, this is my little watercolor kit that I kick around, and I use these crazy things, these water reservoir brush pens. And so one of the things that this can afford for us to do is to spatter. Hopefully that's going to show up in camera. Try and hold it up. It's great brainstorming ideas in your sketchbooks. Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. So I'm spattering watercolor all over the bottom of this. I'm going to try to let it dry. I'm going to do my best. And it's just, I'm not being overly precious about it, but what I am is just getting a bunch of it laid in so that we can use this as part of the foundation of our rock area here. So, okay, so there's that. I'm going to keep at it with this watercolor set that I have, and we're going to start throwing some different greens in here as well into the trees. And so where we've got, there we go. That'll do. All right. I wanted to use a slightly lighter one here. So we're putting some of these marks back into the tree itself. There's so many different wonderful applications you're going to get out of different tools. And watercolor is a lot of fun for soft little punches of value and things. You know, you can have nice tight lines, and you can brush in nice little lines into areas, but you can also just do big sloppy values. So, all right, I might need to give this crazy thing a moment to relax and dry. What am I missing? No, we're caught up. Okay, so here's our first image coming together from our sketchbook. Now, there's not a lot of contrast in that. We're going to have to punch that in next, but I've got so much watercolor still drying in here. I'm going to give this a second, and let's do something else off this page. Does anybody here have a preference off that page? And if you do, feel free to tell me what it is, and we'll start to interpret this as an image. So we've got this mausoleum type shape. We got this octagonal building. There's a cottage up there. Here's a beach scene. Oops, the beach scene is off camera. There's a beach scene here. Have you used the weirdo paper towel technique of adding flowers, plastic bag, or other oddities? No, I tend, if there's one thing I'll do with a paper towel, is that you'll see a lot of spots in the background of drawings, and that's because I'll put a layer of paint and then go like that with the paper towel, and it leaves all these spots through the whole thing in the pattern of the paper towel. You know, you can have some fun with that stuff. So is there any specific choice anybody's got out of here? Otherwise, I think I'm going to do, let's see, I think I might do the beach area there up at the top. It's but that's, I mean, I'm keeping it open because, again, it's not what I want, it's what you guys want. And what I'm going to do this next composition on is this. So this is different pieces of paper all taped together and other paper glued on over top or painted on over top. And so this is the flat surface that I'm going to do our next composition on, because it's different. I like it. And then again, here's, people are like, what are the lines and what's the big glob over there? You know, those are the sort of fun things that give, you know, the person who's looking at the image something to think about. I mean, you know what I've got to do? I'm just going to pull the camera back out like what a turkey. So here's our page once more. We've done this so far, and let's incorporate a couple elements here. How's that sound? That sounds great, Chris. Okay, I'm glad. So I'm going to do it in a different approach. All right, I'm going to save that for, I'm going to kill that one. Yeah, why not? We're going to use this orange, which is a bit random. So I'm going to start with this house, and we'll put this in here. Here it is along the side. And we'll add all these details and elements in a minute, but for the time being, we're just finding this shape in here. See some fun textures peeking through already. That's great stuff. And then these trees that are, any building you have looks good. Oh, well, thanks, Liz. Okay, so we've got this. Now I'm going to do two different things. One, I'm going to take this little guy and this little bordered image, and we'll put them here. Why? Why not? What's the potential opportunities of narrative that we can discover by having just this random person off to the side? It changes the context of the scene, because now how does this house in this wood area relate to this random character in the picture beside us? So there's that. Just going to put a border around them. And then we'll put one more line up here. There. So there's our frame around this person. And that third element that we looked at was the trees right here. So we'll put those in. There's another one cutting across. So I'm working up like so. And then this breaks apart. And it goes up this way. So I bent this line here to go around the frame, because if it touches the frame, it connects the tree to the frame. And I don't necessarily want that, because it's called a tangent in art. And what that means is your mind breaks off and follows the other directional line that you may not well have intended for it to do, because that tangent touched directly up to the other line. That's not to say that you can't have lines of things touching, but it is to say that if I was to do a tree branch and touch right into the edge of this roof, now your eye follows the tree branch into the roof, and it's hard to separate the two different things. Can he have a name? I haven't thought of a name. I don't even know if it's a he. I think it's a she. I'll call it a she. Girl power. So right off the hop, I'm going to try to separate our background a little bit, push this back. Just throwing in some of this yellow here. It's just to help our understanding of how this frame here works. So as we're working, we're not going to bleed into that. We've separated enough, distinctly enough. So let me think. Ow! So let's take this light green, and we'll just start throwing light green in here just to change the area behind our trees, and also to tie our image together. So our background starts to be tamped down now. It's less distinct than it was a minute ago. And it serves like the initial intent, which is to give a little bit of visual complexity in the composition. So there we go for that. Not being overly exacting, you know, we may change some things up as we go. But hopefully this will start to make sense of this as an image. And then we'll get right back to taking the other thing a step forward. Can you see? I don't know if you can see it in camera, but maybe you can start to see now the different planes of the surface that we're working on now. Okay, so there's a rough shape for that composition. Oh, just back in the office again. Okay, so there's that. And we'll come back to this in a second. Let's get back to this crazy kid. Now we've got all kinds of interesting little bits of complexity in our surface down below. There's some spattering that's in there. There's some different plugs of washes in there, some textured pencil work in there. We're trying different things out as we go, you know. So now I'm just going to see if this gray will work for us. And we're just going to put some shapes, start to imply some rocks through this environment. Letting some of the marks we've already put in work for us as well. And so it's not just a blanket application of gray throughout. We're trying to replicate that randomness in nature where, you know, God doesn't line things up. It scatters everything. Scattered. It's a song by the Stones. Shadube. Maybe that's not how the song goes. Okay, so I'm going to come in again with the white, and I'm going to go a little farther in this and punch little contrasty hits on the rock surfaces. And then we're going to come in a second with a pencil or a pen or something like that, and then we'll start pulling some shapes into these rocks. We'll start carving them out a little more clearly. But I like leaving some things peeking through, like this orange spattered paint, or I don't know what color that was, but I like to leave those things peeking in. And big rock. So in Canada, specifically where I am in Ontario, we have the Great Canadian Shield. So at a certain point, as you're driving northward, you can't in Ontario, suddenly big stone sections start popping out of the grass. Lots of stub your toes shapes there. There we go. Oh yeah, there we go. It's Friday. Yeah, I'm going to use, I think, shake it up. Let's use this. This is a little fine point marker. So I'm just, it's not a big straight line for the trunk here. It's just little spots, little marks. The eye fills in the whole of the space. But we can recognize how we see things differently than how we try to emulate them. So if you draw a straight line for the trunk, then you're going to just make a whole big, so you can see how there's some dots in there and things like that. And then your eye will sort out the differences. So now I'm coming in to the foreground, or to the area at the base of the tree at the very least here. And I'm starting to put some distinct little shadowed areas in. This is the stub your toe section. It's a great statement. This is where I stubbed my toe, and over here, I stubbed my toe there once. This part is where I tripped and I hurt my ankle. I gotta stop walking over here. So hopefully we're starting to have a clear picture. Is that better? A clear picture of our landscape now. You need a tripping hiker on. So you can start to see how we're making a little more clear distinction in our foreground. But again, as much as you want to draw, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with people wanting to do very realistic images. I myself try to have things to be some measure of depiction. But you don't always have to, because, like I said before, the viewer, the reader, trust in people's sophistication that they're going to look at something and go, hey, I know what rocks look like. Which can spare you some of that time and labor towards trying to depict the greatest rock ever. I had a teacher when I was in my teens, a lady named Jane Bejan, and she would do these absolutely lovely drawings of rocks, pebbles in a creek or sides of a hill or whatever they were, Great Canadian Shield, and they would be massive drawings, absolutely massive drawings. And they look like rocks, absolutely realistic depictions of rocks. And I remember a kid in our class that said, "Why are you spending all that time drawing rocks?" And because that's what they wanted to do. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Now it's coming through. Okay. Sometimes you got to convince these things. Bring my white ink. That's the one challenge I found, is that the white ink clogs. Whoops. Maybe it's a little too liquidous. Let's just hold off on that for a second. Yeah, we'll come up with this crazy kid. So this is an oil base. The tree is not the focal point, is it? Its focal point is off center. Well, relatively, yeah. I mean, perfect center would be here. And the tree just sits, leans a little bit off to the side of it, but we're all right with that. We're okay with that, everybody. Deep breaths. So I'm just getting some little contrasty hits in here now. So, and I'm just trying to think about rocks. What do rocks look like? I always get stuck on what is rules or not rules, because it causes me no end of hesitation. No, forget it. Let it go. Do your thing and follow the things that you feel directed to do. If it's, I suggest this, and it's a bit random, but I suggest this all the time. The person who looks at whatever it is that I do and thinks that is the greatest thing I've ever seen, I have not met, I may never meet. It could billow on the wind and land in front of a page from one of my books, let's say, a photocopy, a doodle I did while, in the area or something, Anyways, doesn't matter. The image blows up at their feet in front of their hut. They take it inside, they, attach it to a piece of thatch in the wall. And to them, that is the image of all images. That's the sort of thing that makes them go, wow, it's nature on a piece of paper, or whatever it is. And I will never know, because this world is large. And I don't necessarily need to know either. I'm just making things, and there is somebody out there that's going to connect to them. I may not ever connect to that person myself or be aware of their very existence. But there may be somebody out there that's going to see what I do and go, hey, I like it. And if I was worried about following the rules or there's a specific way of everything has to be done, whatever the scenarios were for that person to get that image and see something different than anything else they're seeing may not have happened. So get an understanding of what you think aesthetically works for you, and if there's other people around you that go, yeah, that aesthetically works for me as well, that's great. But don't be so worried about having to do something the way this person has told you to do it, or that person says this is the only way to do this, because you're going to miss the opportunity to do it your way. Okay, so here's our tree coming through, and our foreground is together now. So this is, we're starting to interpret our doodle at this point. And let's see the little bit of sky in here that was in that background in that drawing. Let's start to add that a little bit and start to put that into our image. Beef up some of this white and lower area to put our clouds in. So there's a comic artist that I liked, and early 1980s, very rebellious and very avant-garde for the comics that they were doing. And I remember hearing a lot of people complaining about the style and the way that they illustrate and tell a story. And it's funny because some of those same people I've had conversations with since that think what said same artist is doing that is absolutely just brilliant. Their drawing style is brilliant. And it really has not, they haven't changed the way they sing. They just changed the song. And the person I'm referring to is Jamie Hewlett. And Jamie Hewlett, there's two people that are responsible for the contemporary rock band, the Gorillaz. One is Damon Albarn, who was the lead singer of Blur and keyboardist of Blur. And the other person isn't a musician. The other person is Jamie Hewlett, who does all the visuals for the band and draws the cartoon characters and is responsible for videos and stage performances, like they have holograms of the characters on the stage and things like that. All of that is the visual artist. And so it's funny to hear some of the same people go, oh, that guy's stuff is amazing. And I'm like, I know for a fact you hated their work. It's like, come on. It's fantastic to see him applying what he does in different ways. And now the new album that they've put out is, and they have collaborations with people from all around the world on their albums. And but the new album that they have, Jamie is traditionally animating a film that is going to, of all their videos, it'll be a film that specifically depicts a continuing story through all their songs. And right on. That's how you do it, folks. That's how you trust in yourself. So here's, who told me that? I think it was Blue Rodeo. So there's that composition. I'm good with it. You good with it? So hold on. Maybe we can get a little bit more details here up closer. So there's our tree composition from the sketchbook. Okay. Oh, there you go. I hear you. Sometimes you got to step away from what everybody else is doing. Okay, so this is the second thing that we did, and this is the one that incorporates this building, this tree area, and this person. So we put a basic coat. So I'm good with stopping on this unless I think people are like it needs a large container of toothpaste across the center. You know what I mean. So let's have a crack at this thing. Now I'm going to do something a little different than yesterday. Yesterday, I came in with, you gonna show up? Yeah, ish. So I'm gonna throw down a bunch of marker in this one, and then we're gonna do some silly billy business with allowing the bleed of the markers and the different overlapping colors to do some stuff. Now I've got the gorilla stuck in my head. They did the last album, they did a duet with Stevie Nicks. That was pretty cool to have Stevie Nicks on an album with a bunch of hip young kids. But they defy stereotyping. They're really a wholly unique thing. And they've won all kinds of awards for an animated band. They're real people. It's one guy. Well, it's a ton of real people involved in making the beautiful music, but they have hip hoppers in there, and the new album has got lots of Indian musicians and the like. So good fun in the sun, folks. Let me see if I can bump that up a little higher and just keep it there, so I don't have to keep grabbing a hold of it. All right, so I've got this set of brush markers that I picked up recently. So I'm going to start putting some marks in with these and having some fun. No real specific plan as I go about making our marks here. Now, I'm doing the back area first before I do the house in the foreground or the building of whatever kind it is and the person in the panel. So not being too worried about our background or our foreground right now. We're just getting some marks and some shapes in here. What is the most prized souvenir you've ever collected? I don't know. I don't know. I've got Baby, my cat that used to always be in the studio with me. With Corbin back in the day, she is still with us here in the studio. She's in an urn, and her favorite toy is right beside it. I mean, I love having that there. She was with me for a long time. So, I treasure that. Pictures of the kids up on the shelf and stuff like that. I'm not, and then I've got a really random collection. The comic book that I like the most in my life, longevity-wise, overall-wise, is a really dorky comic series called The Legion of Superheroes. And it started in 1958. Al Plastino and Otto Binder, creators of it. Cosmic Boy, Saturn Girl, Lightning Lass, Colossal Boy, Invisible Kid, a Triplicate Girl. Do you get a vibe there? Just this fun, wonderful future sci-fi story set in this utopian 1,000 years in the future. Society's great, and these kids are trying to emulate heroes of the past for whenever there's any problems. And of course, they're kids. They're all teens, and the bad guy, aliens are going to try to conquer our planet. Come on, send Stone Boy and Fire Lad. I used to love that when it's just how ridiculous that all is as a kid, and it's just stayed with me as an adult. And they did an interesting thing in the '90s is that they grew them up. They allowed some of the characters to age into their 30s even, and kids and married and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. So I have a bookshelf just of collections of them from their long-standing existence since 1958. So there's lots of different stories told over the years of different people. Good fun, little old school sci-fi. One guy is named Jonah. Joe is his first name, Na is his last name, and he got all kinds of different superpowers, like Superboy, from getting swallowed by the Moby Dick of space. Of course, there's all kinds of other elements that are in there. Jonah getting swallowed by a fish, come on. And it's just fun, just good fun. And he becomes Ultra Boy. Oh, so dorky. So I'm adding on to that green back. I'm throwing some little bits of yellow all over here, adding some light and some value into the forest. And Chris, send all kinds of coffee and things. So yeah. Okay, I'm seeing. I see what was happening. I was using the wrong one. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing as I did yesterday, but we're going to be even more aggressive about it today, where I'm going to, this is pretty dry. So now I'm coming in here with this white, and I'm just putting little hits of white through. And what this is to get across is light coming through the trees. So there's our house still, there's our person in the panel still, but we're focusing primarily on these trees. And then I'm going to do something to sort of represent the little hash marks that I do across the trees in the sketch. Because that's fun. That's a fun little bit of business, so why not apply it? And then we'll come back in here and put some more marks in. That way. Just a minute. We'll get there. Hold your horses. What does your coffee cup say? My coffee cup says super size. It literally has it written on the side of it. And I'm allowed 1 cup of coffee a day. So I have 1 cup of coffee in a supersized mug. Why? Because I'm a troublemaker. As my brother-in-law often reminds me, where's an angel? I'm a troublemaker. So there's you can start to see how the light is just, finding its way through now. And we're going to come back in a second. But the yellow that we placed down before gives a different kind of a value to the white as it peeks through now. That's the theory. Okay, so last thing. One more thing. All right, so in the sketch down below is all this hash work through here to show, information in the background of our trees here. So let's put some of that throughout here. So this is just a light green pen that I'm using. And I'm just trying to emulate those marks that were in that sketch. Because it's fun. It's a fun little bit of something or nothing that we might not think to add to our image otherwise. And we still have yet to carve out our little panel within the panel here. I'm not too precious about these marks as we're putting in. If we're going over something, we want to pull it back out, we can do that. We have the technologies. Okay, so we're going to put lots of little limbs and things through here now. So I'm putting green into the trunk. Take my hat off. I got one more thing to show you before the end of the stream today, after we finish this off. That remind me though, would you? I forget things. Oh, I'm forgetful. So hopefully that's where you're starting to see forest. Light green is technology. Yeah, there you go. Mine says, well, aren't you a little ray of pitch black? I have a friend who teaches, and they have a mug that says, you have 3 minutes. That's weird. You know, I saw it in their office, and I'm like, oh my. And they're like, well, sometimes you have to give people time limits. Okay, I guess you're setting the term when somebody walks in and there you are sitting there with brokered time for them. Okay, we'll come in one last time in a second here and place a couple more little pinches of the light coming through. Just to really enhance some of those little spots. The more time you spend looking at something up close, the more that you're going to see in it. But initially, somebody walks by an image, and you know there's certain marks that you'll make that they're going to capture certain bits of attention, draw their eye towards. That doesn't make you have to overthink everything, because forest, we got it. What kind of trees are those? Is it fir? Oh, is it a fur baby cat? No. No, Corbin and Lucy are both sleeping upstairs. They're both, I'll have to show sometime. Get a picture of the two of them sitting there, curled up beside one another. She tries to sleep right curled up against him, and he, he's a Lobo. He sleeps alone, and so that doesn't always last. But whenever we catch him, ha ha ha, Corbin, we got a picture. You're friends, ha ha. Everybody knows. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with this oil-based one, which really puts a far more opaque value down. And then this is where we're really going to punch. When I want to see mistakes or other things, I flip the image or take a photo and analyze it. The trees I was enthralled with was eucalyptus, the peeling bark growth, horizontal, nice change. Yeah, that's good. I mean, there's definitely something to say to evaluating, you know, what we're working on, and especially if it's something that we want to work from. It's good to scrutinize and to take a look at an image, and you are going to find different things when you look at something on the side or upside down or inverted some way. But I tend to be so on the cuff, like when it comes to looking at images that I've already done. Like I discovered in the thing from yesterday that, oh hey, that's a window. A window peeks through. I forgot. I didn't even realize that was happening. So it's good. It's good to analyze and evaluate, and even work that's you've got finished or work that you're working from, or resources that you're using, source images and things like that. But I gotta admit, I'm terrible about it. In present of mind, really. But I'll do it. It's not something that I'm too fly by the moment type to really pay attention enough. And it's my goofy brain. Yeah, maybe I should do that more often. So just down here, I'm throwing some little marks in the little shape to the bottom of the floor here. All right, so we've got our building next. Or do we want to do our person next? We got a person and a building. Person and building. Eucalyptus trees. Yeah, I'm not good at naming trees. What kind of tree is that? The wood one. Meatball. That's me. So, just not. Let's see. I'm gonna grab this brown pen, and I'm gonna start putting in some of this structure here. Some of these elements that we're going to. I'm gonna shake things up a tiny bit with them too. So I noticed that I didn't do the awning at all. I short gapped this thing dramatically. Just an interesting thing that I didn't, wasn't consciously realizing that I was doing. Really cool, Chris. Scratch and top knot, sorry. Okay, so let's start rusting this thing up. And we'll put some shapes and some shadowing and things like that. So, have you got any more life in you now? Not much. That's all right. You did a good job. Okay. What did I use before? Let's see. Have you got some friends? Yeah, we're coming with this. So this is this corrugated tin roof. That I'm just putting up here on top. And then it's going to carry through underneath there as well. So I'm just adding and smudging it. So we're just trying to define a little shed or shack, or I think it's just a shed of some kind. But will you? Yeah, you'll make your presence known. There you go. Oh, look what you're doing for me. Look at you. There you go. So this is just, I'm using the pencil on its side. So some of this, the edge of these random overlaps of paper are going to give some different shape to the shack here. Yeah, come in with the paint marker on that. So this application is very different than the last one. We're trying out some different stuff here. That's the whole thing, right? Like, just keep exploring and trying different combinations of elements and seeing what it gives you. I'm going to go over that in white in a second. A couple little belts of white in there. Let's do this for the time being, though. Am I missing stuff? No, we're still good. Okay. So the initial white, or the initial yellow that I put down here, let's go over it again, make it a little more opaque. And we'll draw this panel in the foreground that we've got down in the corner of the page. So you can utilize all these different elements that you have in your sketchbooks that, they inform you of different possibilities. There may be something that you wouldn't have considered otherwise available to you now, as you're starting to allow these different combinations to work together. So I'm going to grab that orange and do the same thing. Kick the orange up a little bit. It's really, it's a different orange I just used. That's good. That's good. We're okay with that. Okay, so where's that other one? So yeah, so these two applications are very, very different, but at the same time, there's different color systems in here. There's different, there's much more, deeper value, darker location. This is far more open. So there's going to be some differences. Well, you're dorking out when you got different colors of pens. It's the highest game level you got to, and in what game? I don't play video games. I just need a wood one. Yeah. Different colored orange pens because I am a nerd. Okay, so here's this person's hair coming in, and we'll add a couple different little pokes of color into their outfit. I'm thinking, ow! So that first application is just sort of priming the area, really. And then that second application of color is where it starts to become a little more opaque. And the last thing I'm going to do is we're going to give the outfit a second to dry. But while that's doing that, let's start to put some details in. So I'm just putting some of the highlights in the jacket here. And pretty rude putting a person in a panel that's not even facing us. How rude they are. And then I'm going to do a little outline on them. Make them pop. So I'm just going to pick and choose the spots, not big, opaque, solid lines, but put there. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a deep value in for the majority of their form here, their body. So there's their, hopefully it looks like hair now. Okay. Is it going to be dark enough? Nope. Mm-hmm. I knew that wasn't going to be dark enough because I used that same silly choice before. So here's our forest ranger. And then we can put a nice tidy little border on that, but that's true. Okay. Yeah, we got a Wii, but can I play it? No, I'm terrible at it. Not just that. I could play Mario Kart. That's the one that I can actually compete with kids and grandkids on. Okay, so there's our forest image. So there's our two images for today from the sketchbook. So this one incorporates elements of here, here, and here. We put into this thing. And then this one is based on this sketch. So we covered a good piece of the page. Woohoo, team. Go, team, go. Go, team, go. So there's our two for today. Time we got, yeah. Oh wow, we hit the time. So there we go, folks. That's the images that we've completed for today for this series. So I realize now I've got two different tracks going at this point for sketch cards. There's two different series that I'm doing. Oh, show us. Oh yes, show you what it is. So yesterday I talked about thank you for reminding me. Someone's asked me what I'm planning for dinner. I'm like, I don't know. I never know what I'm doing in 10 minutes. That's not true. I'm more scheduled now. So yesterday I advocated that if the benefit of sketchbooks, look at all the marker on my hands. Anyways, the benefit of sketchbooks and how in doing this and scribbling these different things in here and being able to utilize those after, there's benefit in that because we can draw upon it later. So if you don't have a sketchbook or the facility to have a sketchbook, if you can take a bunch of 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper or larger, whatever, fold them in half, and then keep them contained within a heavier cardstock or something like that, and make a sketchbook of your own. Now, you can staple this, or you don't have to staple it, right? Now, so one of the things that I have been trying to do is, without spending an arm and a leg, find colored sketchbooks of colored paper. Now, I've got craft paper sketchbook and a manila colored paper sketchbook, but that's the range of it. So instead, using the same principle, I made myself a red paper sketchbook so that I can draw on red pages and staple the side of it. But yeah, so this is me doodling last night with a white pencil. And, so why stop there, right? So I made a black one. So here's a black paper sketchbook so that I can draw in a staple in the middle. And this is, 4 pieces of paper folded over with another one on the outside. And I made a brown one, so now I've got these different opportunities to try things out. And you can work like that red pencil, white pencil drawing that I did on the red one. That's very, very translucent. There's no contrast or anything added to that as yet. I just quick scribbled this while I was actually in a lecture. But you can do all kinds of mixed media on that, and you can use all kinds of paint markers and the like. Here, I'll show you on this brown one how it really, you can put all kinds of marks on things. So don't worry about application. Like, these are cardstock papers that I'm using because I like the strength of it. Otherwise, if it's regular, just typewriter paper or something like that, I'd make a mess of it in the blink of an eye. So yeah, so you can really mess with these things. You can put tape on those pages and do whatever with them. But if you've got bits of paper kicking around in your space, why not? Why not give this a try? See what you're going to get out of it. So, you can do the same things as we're doing here on these different postcards. You can do in this kind of format. Turn it on side, work that way. Whatever it is, it's your book. So give this a try, folks. If you want to try having a sketchbook where it's not just a plain white piece of paper, because here's the thing. One of the ways I got past the hurdle of worrying about making a mistake in a drawing is that I would always scribble on the paper first. I would just take a pencil and scribble over it and then draw on top of that. And so you're not precious about it now because you're starting from the foundation of a big boo-boo. And it lets you feel liberated. Psychologically, a lot of people have a hard time starting an image on a white piece of paper, on this blank, clear, unmarred, beautiful, pristine, image. Blah. Make a mess of it. Have some fun. Don't worry about it. And if colored paper might be the thing that lets you leap over that hurdle, might be the brand new pair of shoes, then maybe colored paper is an answer. So try to make some of these little things, and they're easy, and they're cute, they're transportable, and they're yours. Like, as with all things, your sketchbooks are not works of art. Your sketchbooks are for you to get those ideas out and to start to work out some things that you're trying to consider, and in order to put those into finished things. So play, have fun with that. I just wanted to show people that. Thank you for reminding me. I appreciate that, Chris. So that's about that, gang. I think we're gonna sign out for today. So here's our 2 pictures for today, and I get those scanned and get those put out. Tomorrow is another slideshow going up. And if, somebody can remember, it'll be on my Patreon today. The first slideshow will go on the Patreon today. But there'll be another slideshow to go up tomorrow and Sunday. So I don't know if people like those or not, but that's what we're doing. That's about it. Okay. So yeah, keep an eye out here tomorrow here on YouTube, and you'll see the next slideshow of images. Very, very, very thankful for having everybody come by. I really appreciate it. You people are fantastico. Try some of these applications. Try some of this monkeying around with different medium and see what that gives you. And allow yourself to just make some mistakes along the way, and to do things that may defy convention. Or you can't put pen in a painting. Sure you can. All right. Thanks very much, everybody. I will see you on Monday. Bye for now.